Hello and welcome to this podcast from the Digital Research Video Project organised by Suzanne Pilaar Birch through the Social Media Knowledge Exchange. In this video we'll find out what dietary choices can tell us about the social relationships between groups of people living in Peru over 1,000 years ago, from research by Lauren Cadwallader. Between 1,000 and 1,400 years ago in the South American country of Peru, a group of people from the highlands known as the Wari became the dominant influence across a vast swathe of the country all the way to the Ica Valley on the south coast. We can tell a lot about the relationship between the Wari and the local population in the Ica Valley by looking at what they ate. The production and consumption of foods is controlled by both biological factors, i.e. what can be grown, and social factors, i.e. what you choose to grow. Food and the way we use it reflects the hierarchies and organisation of a society, and by working out what foods which social groups ate, we can work out what the society was up to on a bigger scale. We can work out the diets of people in the past by chemically analysing the human remains themselves through a technique known as stable isotope analysis. This works particularly well on the desert coast of Peru, because nothing rots away and human remains become naturally mummified. On the basis that you are what you eat, i.e. the food you eat makes up your tissues, researchers can analyse bone, hair, skin and teeth to work out the diet from different periods of that person's life. Bone represents the average diet over a long time, teeth the childhood diet, skin the diet before death, and hair can be used to look at diet over a month-by-month time frame. Towards the end of the late NASCA period in Peru, around 500 AD, the people of the south coast area lived in fragmented groups, living off a diet of wild foods and crops such as beans and squashes. They also grew one of the key resources for the Wari culture, cotton. This was what brought the Wari down from the highlands. They couldn't grow cotton at higher altitudes and so needed to control the areas where it could be produced. One of the more grisly pieces of evidence for this control is the discovery of trophy heads in the area, heads of men, women and children that were ritually cut off and buried to demonstrate the Wari's power over the locals and keep them in line. Stable isotope analysis of hair and bones of human remains from this time tell us that the Wari sent some of their elite class down to the valley as well, in order to exert their power over the locals, and they ate a very different diet to the local people. The Wari elites ate a lot of maize, whereas the locals had more of a mixed diet, with some llama meat and squashes and beans. These vegetables were easy to grow, drought-tolerant and considered fairly low status. But maize couldn't be grown in the lower Ica Valley as it requires a lot of water and the valley is far too dry. So where did it come from? In come the mummies again. From analysis of their hair, we know that people moved up and down between the mountains and the valley. They probably brought the maize down from the wetter mountains, especially for the elites to eat. It wasn't easy to move lots of maize in this way, and therefore would only have been given to the most important people. On the return leg up to the highlands, they took back the cotton essential for the Wari's distinctive textiles. The question researchers are yet to answer is whether the Wari had this kind of relationship with all of the populations whose territory they conquered, or whether these individuals in the lower Ica Valley were a unique case. Eventually, the Wari left, and no one lived in the lower Ica Valley for about 200 years. We're not sure why at the moment, though it's likely it got too dry to sustain crops, and that it was too difficult to remain there. So, by analysing tissues from mummies, it's possible to work out what the people in the Peruvian desert ate over 1,000 years ago. And from this, it's been possible to look at the relationship between the local coastal population and the people from the highlands who lived amongst them to control their resources. I hope you've enjoyed this digital research video podcast. For more information, check out www.smke.org.